All right, what up, Steven? Welcome back to the show, man. Another State of the Union. It's an honor to have you back, man.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having us. Look forward to it.
Yeah, man. So let's dive right into it. What's new on the KDA bet front, man? You guys been out there getting on AMAs and just killing it,
Yeah,
man.
just exhausting with the marketing aspect. So as always, you're trying to always market what you're doing and get the word out there. Um, just kind of finishing up the crypto marketing with some AMAs with Dan Keller from Flux, which was nice. We got another one coming up next week, actually two coming up next week, and then hopefully that's pretty much it for crypto marketing, and we could move to the sports betting side. We've been prepping a lot for a trip to New York on Tuesday, so we go to SBC Sports Betting Conference, and we'll sort of reveal ourselves for the first time to some high players up there. I mean, a few people in sports know about us, and we've been talking with them, but it'll be kind of our first I guess face-to-face meeting at a major conference with one of our team members there, hanging out in New York. So if you're in New York and you're at SBC, if randomly if you're at Kadena and at SBC, just reach out and we'd love to meet up. But so that's kind of cool because we'll be meeting up with some major names there and just doing some FaceTime, which is important for a sports betting company because marketing to crypto could only take you so far. In this space, you have to actually market to the I guess the market that you're serving, which is sports bettors. So that's kind of nice. What else have we been doing? So a lot of prep for that, which has been exhausting. We did finish off the naming of the King emails, which is kind of neat, where the original NFT Kadena King minters can choose their own name and kind of their own look, just limited in a limited way. And so we got all that done, which is pretty exhausting. I can't even tell you how exhausting it is answering emails all day.
Ooh, I know, buddy.
And just getting back to people and making sure they're happy. Every time I try to code, so we have pretty much two programmers here, and every time I'm trying to code, it's just always another thing, and it's just always the community always wants to talk 24/7 to me and to Sammy on Telegram, which is kind of distracting when we're trying to get tech done, but has to be done. So we've been kind of dealing with that, and we finally got that all done and out of the way. So all the original Genesis King. So also check your email, Ryan, because I see you haven't emailed us back yet. So you should probably do that.
I should. I didn't know. Everybody was talking about the King's name and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I thought we told everybody that we didn't have to do anything. We just had to check that one email. That was it. So I didn't know that there was a naming thing going on.
Yeah, that one email just verifies that you're not a bot, basically. So we put a little bit of code in there that says, did you open the email or not? And because we're just guarding against multiple people trying to sign up many accounts and getting the King. So that's why we are asking people to open your email, or maybe you're a bot, and not real, which is kind of neat. And but now we have the naming of the King email. So if you haven't, we got about 250 of the 500 responded already. So we're looking for the other 250 to open up that email and let us know what you want your unique name to be. The other Kings will be like King 1, King 2, King 3, King 001, all that sort of stuff. But for the Genesis Kings, you get your own vanity name, which is pretty cool. So looking forward to that, finishing that off, which is nice. Did a lot of work on the King's art this week. So we published some art. So a lot of things that are non-code here already, right? So you can imagine how distracting it is. But we commissioned an artist to do 3D. I think we're going to go 3D with the King's art because not a lot of people, well, some people responded well to classical art. So we had the idea we were going to do classical art for the NFT, aka like paintings, like Renaissance paintings and stuff that you can upgrade. But not a lot of people like that, or maybe 60-40. Because everyone wants, laser eye bowls and stuff like that. And that seems to be what people want. But for us, we wanted to do something different. So we went the 3D route and spent, a fair deal of money contracting artists. It's super, super expensive to contract art, and you never know what you're going to get. So, we were looking for somebody to join our team for a paid position in the team tokens and salary to become our chief artistic officer. I guess it's kind of a lame name, but that's kind of what we were looking for. So we found a guy who we really like a lot, and he's been doing good work making a 3D king.
Dude, those
so the king sits on a throne, the king stands up, that you pose and it looks cool, and it has like a cool crown and stuff, and you can upgrade all the items as you level up your king. That's the whole idea. So it's looking really good now, and we're hoping that this gets done early next week and we can show what the art will look like.
Dude.
And then what that will do is it will trigger the ability to release the king's white paper, basically. That is the king system, where we go through all the mechanic of the king in detail, and like, this is what it'll look like, this is how it'll appear, these are all the upgrades you can get, and the various things that the utility of the king, basically, and how that utility is limited, and how you get to choose between the different types of utility with like a level of energy. Basically, it's like a magic card. You can trigger certain things every week, and just gives you a lot of options with your king to do fun stuff with our network. So looking forward to pushing that out, and also the economic paper for the NFT as well. So, the point of the king is that you can tap it to get a piece of the betting tax, basically. So you're essentially taxing the bet, and that's what you get for investing in our IDO, because our IDO is like a little bit different, right? It's not aimed toward crypto investors who want 8,000% APY and staking tokens, and they want utility just by holding the token alone. Well, that's not what we do, because we're not a crypto play. We're an actual bricks and mortar business that serves an actual customer, which is sports bettors. So you can't be draining the sports bettors of their bankroll just because you hold the token, right? So that's what the king does. It allows you to access capital that is generated from those markets, and it's just kind of a nicer way to reward crypto investors. And so we're looking forward to putting out the economics paper, which says, if we do this much volume, this is how much your king will make, this is how much you mint it for, and this is how much you make, and therefore you can look at the relative, sorry, I guess it's that way, it's the opposite on my camera, but it's about, you can look at the relative difference between your mint price and then how much you can expect to make at different levels of I guess, volume that we bring onto our protocol. And so you get an exact idea of what this NFT is worth. And then you could put a price on the NFT for the marketplace that we're building right now, which is based off Marmalade, and we'll have a front end, and you can buy, sell, and trade, that sort of stuff.
Dude, that's baller, man. I can't wait, man. The community's so hyped about these kings. Everybody's loving them, man. You sound stressed, buddy. You sound stressed, man.
We're so super happy, too, about the Amerikings campaign with you. It's been going very nice. So just to give you some feedback, Ryan, for us, we felt very bad for Canadians and Americans, because like, I'm Canadian, and even my own family can't invest in this because they're Canadian, and you can go to jail. I'll go to jail if we don't do KYC. And so I know a lot of techno anarchists really want, no KYC and all that stuff. And, they think that's the ideal of any sort of blockchain play, but no, it's not how it works. So we can't even let Americans invest in our IDO at all. It will destroy us. We'll go to jail.
Yep.
And so what we did was, one thing that is not illegal, though, is the NFT, non-fungible token, because it's not fungible. You can actually deal with Americans in that case. You can let them mint that. And so we made the Amerikings campaign with you, where the Americans or Canadians, hopefully Canadians too, can get access to these. Yeah, you can get access to these NFTs and still be American, and still partake in our betting network that we're trying to build. So that's been going well, and I think you're up to 50 kings given away now. It's pretty fast. And those Amerikings will come with a special little American badge, I think. So look for that art. We'll do something special for Americans, because you're all left out, and it's not fair.
Yes, thank you, man. We appreciate that big time. I mean, you're one of the first projects that have gone above and beyond to do something for us, man, and that's what we like about you guys. So let's talk about the code, man. Let's hear what are you guys planning? Are you guys gonna get started on that? I know you wanted to get to it, and you're just doing with all this other stuff. So what's the goals and targets for this upcoming week, and what do you hope to get accomplished before our next State of the Union?
Yeah, just before that, I just wanted to say one more thing we got up to, and that's our IDO legals as well. Ooh. Then I'll get right into that. I'm sorry, but just trying to tell you how busy it's been, and like how hard it is to like sit down and code without distraction. It's very difficult. So the legals around setting up an entity to actually do an IDO, I mean, that costs like $200,000 just to even think about doing that. So we're thinking about like getting set up in Gibraltar right now, where we can actually take people's IDO, I guess, allotment. And so we've been dealing a lot with that legality. So we're very close to signing a contract with one of the firms, and it's just very, very difficult because there's so many legal restrictions, and that takes up so much time and worry from our team.
Yep.
We're always out there talking to lawyers, trying to figure out how to make things legal. It's an ever-shifting gray landscape of legality. It's changing daily, and it's just so hard to find a place where we can sit down and just do this business with a launch pad on any blockchain. So, again, that has taken up probably 2 days of our 5-day work week, just gone, just dealing with lawyers and legals and meetings, and it just never ends. And so, just to let you know, the difficulty in actually taking money in a legal manner is mind-boggling. It's gotten way worse than 2017 when it was easy. So that's gotten in the way of progress too. But we finally actually have figured it out now. So we actually have an operating company now that has come into existence, and that operating company can now sign contracts, or UBOs as we call it, with the launch pad. And then we have a pathway to actually take the IDO money. So again, that has been a very stressful thing this week, but we pretty much have got it done now. So it's looking good to go forward from that point.
Good for you guys. Man. I can only imagine, man. And you're funding this right now because you haven't raised any capital. So you're funding this out of your pocket. I can only imagine the weight on your shoulders right now, buddy. It's cool to hear about this. We've never got to hear this stuff before. No projects ever came on here and been transparent and talked about this. Is the first time I've ever heard it in this industry ever. So that's probably why these videos are doing so well, because people, they want to know these things, and I feel like they should have the right to know them, Well, a lot of projects don't care, right? They'll sign any deal just to get the money. But for us, we can't build a proper business here where we're bringing on large companies. We're bringing on data providers, and we're bringing on market makers and ourselves. We don't want to go to jail, and we don't want anyone else to go to jail. So I think a lot of companies just don't care. As long as they get IDO money, you can probably rug. Not to say that happens on Kadena, but we've seen it happening on Solana and Ethereum quite a lot, where you just, like these NFT projects, the Voxel one, remember that one? It got 100 million and then just rugged, and then they keep the money. Yep. And they never had any intention of building an actual business in any form or manner. So for us, we're trying to communicate to the community that we are building a professional business here, and we're trying to build something long-term here on Kadena. And that's why we talk about this important issue before getting into the code, because it's like so important, and it sucks up hours and hours and hours of our time. We can barely get anything done because it's just constant lawyer meetings and meetings with Gibraltar regulators and meetings with other lawyers who have to give their opinion, looking through SEC compliance, looking through compliance in Europe, looking through compliance in Gibraltar. Should I go on? I think you understand. Yeah.
But you get the idea, is that it's just a massive drain on resources. And yes, we are funding it all from our own pockets. Like no VC is going to invest in us until they see all the dots lining up and traction and all that stuff. So, we got a long way to go before we can raise money. And it's not like there's any mid-tier financing on Kadena. It's a new blockchain, right? There's no, on ETH you can get money like a snap, right? It's no problems. If you got a project with traction, you can raise whatever you want pretty quickly. Same with Solana, but Kadena is very new, so they don't have any infrastructure yet. And so everything for projects is out of the pocket, or it's probably a project that doesn't have a lot of growth potential. So I know there's guys like Mock who have spent a lot of money building up their infrastructure so that they can do these types of IDOs and not go to jail. So, cheers to them. And that's what we're going through right now.
Dang, that's crazy, man. That's wild. So cool to hear it, man. And now, don't you guys have an in-house lawyer? So what does it require? All of you guys don't have a person that does, wasn't Duncan supposed to be taking care of all the legal stuff so that you could do nothing but code? And now you have to go back to all these meetings or something?
Well, it's just meetings with various people and putting face, because I talk about the tech. They want to know about the tech. Yeah. What are you doing? What are these NFTs? So I explain all that all the time.
Yep.
And I'm kind of a face for that.
Yep.
And so, Duncan really shoulders the load for that, but then he brings it back to us. What do you want to do? How are we going to, we have to look at the contracts from the launch pads and figure out what they're doing. And so we're a big business team and we're trying to figure this out together. And it's just distracting because, it's the worry that you're going to get spiked by some regulator somewhere. And so we're all worried about it. Team members don't want to do anything until everything is legal. Okay. So let me tell you about real worries is when you have professional team members you brought on and then they're constantly worrying about, is this legal or not?
Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I working on? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a huge concern. And I think a lot of, projects that are smaller don't have to go through this. But for us, it's very important because we're trying to bring on professional business people who are professional in the sports betting space. That is, they've been through, C-level positions in the sports betting space. And so how do we move forward if everything is in a cloud and legal? It's a massive drain on the intellectual process and intellectual property that we're trying to create. But fortunately, we forged the path and we figured it out. It's nice that we've done that now this week, and so now it's just a matter of signing and moving forward. So that's good, and just trying to figure all that out has been just a pain in the ass. But then there's the community who wants constant attention as well, and you have to give that to the community because they are your life.
Yeah.
They give you the lifeblood to your company, and so you have to give a lot of face time. So you can imagine the drains. So I'm trying to set it up for the code.
Yeah, no, I like this, man. I like this. This conversation is great, man. Now, when we first started talking, remember how I was always just stressing about regulations? When I was stressing about that, did you think it was going to be this difficult when we first originally started talking about it? Okay.
Yes, I believed you immediately because we just knew from 2017, because we did this already at Fans Unite, and it took 3 months just to ping lawyers and get their opinion. Like, you have to spend about $250,000 on lawyers to do this. Like, every project has to spend $250,000 or you are going to jail if you do an IDO. Okay, period. So you want to risk going to jail? Good luck. Have fun with your life. You better have a house in Singapore or something like that. But for us, we're Canadians and Americans and we live here. So we have to deal with this constant specter with a scythe ready to cut your head off if you make any wrong moves. So we did believe you because we knew in 2017 how bad it was already. But now in 2022, after the Luna crash, after what Do Kwon did to this industry, it's devastating. Do Kwon should be thrown in Guantanamo Bay as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
All of these rug pull projects, and I see that you do a lot of work exposing them, and they have devastated us. And now legitimate projects are on their tiptoes and walking on eggshells because there's just no way around this $250,000 entry price. It's becoming more and more like Web 2.
Yep. And how can any retail person, right, start a business? The barrier to entry at $250K, it's not possible. And how can you do it? How can you raise capital? Like, how Bitcoin was launched and created by Satoshi. You just can't do that anymore. You need teams. Like, Bitcoin was a technology that just was fairly simple in the overall aspect of it, right? Compared to like building a blockchain out like Kadena is just, Satoshi could have never built Kadena in a bazillion years by himself. Never. Without a team of resources. And if you want that infrastructure, which if you're talking about actually replacing a currency or having a decentralized digital store of value, Kadena is so much superior to Bitcoin in every aspect except for how it launched. And the fact that the maxis are going to just regulate everything to death, it blows my mind. And I think that that's going to be the nail in the coffin for the United States. I think that as inflation goes up, people will leave, innovation's leaving, businesses like yourself will get up the round. If you start having issues in Canada, what are you going to lose your $1 million business? No, you're just going to up and move. You're going to do what you have to do, what's necessary,
We're going to go to Gibraltar because, we would love to be in America or Canada because we love our country. We love it and we want to stay here. We're just like Americans up here in Canada. We have passion to be Canadian and we love being Canadian, but it's not realistic to own a business here because of the government. So we have to go to Gibraltar where they have a very favorable investment regime for cryptocurrency.
Where is Gibraltar?
It's right on Spain. It's a little horn of land off of Spain, which is owned by UK, I think. Yep. And they have a very, very nice structure there where they're fostering innovation. They say we want IDOs to happen here.
Yep.
Of course, you got to KYC, you got to do all these things.
Yep.
Can't get around that. You can't be a techno-anarchist. It's not realistic for business. But if you do everything the right way, they're very friendly and they won't throw you in a cell in a dungeon somewhere to rot.
Yep.
So it's very nice there, and that's kind of where we're planning. So already you see the brain drain. We will not incorporate it in America. We will not incorporate it in Canada because these countries are backwards and I don't know, understand them. I just don't understand what's going on. But enough about the legalities. Just you can get a sense from my how I speak about it, what's going on, and just how careful we have to be, because we're not like, an NFT company. We're trying to build a worldwide brand here that operates in 50 to 70 different countries concurrently. And to do that, we have to do everything by the book.
That's great, man. That's what investors want to hear. That's what we want to see. That's what you're able to show. And when people are like, oh, you're gonna show Kdabet, and I'm like, no, listen, this is not shilling, right? This is educating you. This is just here. I'm not telling you guys to go buy it. I'm telling you, just come enjoy, come see what actually is taking place and what a project has to go through to get, because no product's going to come and teach you this. No product's going to come and show this and do exactly what you're doing. And that's why, and that's where you're going to build that trust from the community. And that's why, everybody's so hype about your project compared to everything else on Kadena. I mean, it's like 100 to 1. If we were to take a bet what the best poll, I'll drop one right now. When you're talking, I'll write up a poll and see what you guys think the best project on Kadena is, and we'll see what the statistics are.
Well, we love all the projects on Kadena, but hopefully we don't.
No, I'm just talking about being the community favorite. Like you guys have done a really amazing job of the community is falling in love with you, from what I see anyways. Maybe that's because I'm always watching for you guys. I'm always looking at what you guys are doing, and I'm seeing all the love you're getting, but I haven't seen that on any other project yet.
Yeah, we do have a passion for people and communities. So we're again, it drains a lot on the ability to get code done. And at some point I have to disappear. I said I was going to do it this week, but I got, like Godfather 3, pull me back in. It's like I can't stop talking to people because I want them to be happy. But there has to come a point where perhaps, Sam takes over on this and does most of the talking, because I have to get the job done now. And it's just getting too late. Well, I mean, we're only, I checked it. We were born on May 17th, May 15th, I think. May 15th to 17th. So we're not even 8 weeks old yet. I think I said 8 weeks old last time, but we're not even 8 weeks old. So, but still, I feel the pressure to get things done, because everyone is just like, you're not real until you code in the community. And it's like, that's fair. So we've started that process, which is kind of nice. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about this code. What's the plans for next week? What are you hoping to accomplish this week, I guess I should say? And what are you going to do different that so you don't hit the same roadmap or the same hiccups? Are you going to shut off your phone? Are you going to take yourself out of the Telegram? Or
I'm going to have to. It's just I have to do that, because to code, to program effectively, you need full focus, 100% focus. You can't have distractions, no social media. It has to all be turned off, and you have to go into the world. I call it the world, in your own little world, and get things done. So fortunately, I got a couple days this week to really get into that zone and get things done. So I can tell you about how we're structuring our first push to GitHub. We don't want to push it until there's at least something functional there that's working that people can see sitting on testnet. But I can tell you the structure of what we're building so far. So I guess kind of the first thing that we did this week is we have to be able to first build these things called markets. And so, you know what a schema is in a module. So you have a module and you're building a market, and you might think of a market as baseball money line. Okay, so you're betting on odds on one side or the other side in a baseball game. Or it could be baseball point spread, because Americans love their point spreads, right? Or you might have baseball totals. That is, you're betting on the total number of runs in a baseball game, something like that. Mm-hmm. So these are the three main markets, and in every fixture, we call it, there's a market. And so we have a module that we built now and a REPL that does all the testing. So a REPL is like, you load everything up and you test all your functions. That's all a REPL is. It's a unit testing.
Yep. Read, evaluate, print, loop.
Yeah, I always hate that. I don't like that. I rather think of it as a test unit testing structure. So that's where you load in your modules, and then you write these little tests to make sure everything works properly. I call it a testing bed.
Yep.
And then the modules is where the actual magic happens. That's where transactions and functions happen. So the first transaction and function of importance to us is to basically take this big stream of data called Sport Radar feed. Mm-hmm. And Sport Radar is essentially this massive flood of data that flies into your computer. So you can like turn it on, and then you get all these data structures popping in real time, this push mechanic. So it's pushing the data towards you. And you can imagine there's, several thousand markets every single day. There's just a huge flood of markets because there's so many games, right? There's esports, right now there's MLB, there's college football coming up. Usually July is like the slowest month. But when NFL comes and NBA comes, it all just picks up into this massive storm of fixtures. So a fixture is just a game, right? Just a game, sports game being played that day. And then you have to break the markets down into the types of markets people like to bet on. So you can imagine the data flowing in now. Now we have this middleware where we can basically get that data, and then we can cut it up and say, these are the types of fixtures we need to send to the pack module. That's the first step. And then you have to set up all the things that go up on testnet. So we want to push that module to testnet. It gets that data from the Oracle, and then it spins up that market inside the table sitting in your fixtures module on Pact. Oh, great. Okay, great. So now you have some reference to a game being played and the types of markets that can happen inside that game. So we wrote that up, and then we had to like set up the gas stations because like you have to pay for everything, right? I mean, every transaction costs gas on blockchain. So we didn't know anything about that, and that took a little while to figure out. We got a shout out to Hash Envy from the Kadena team on Telegram. So I was kind of a little bit frustrated because there wasn't good documentation on like how to think about setting up these systems where, you can make a call from a website to a pack module and then do something. That's what we're really trying to do here. We get some data and we're making a call to the module sitting on testnet, and then we do something, which is basically create a structure. So Hash Envy pointed us to a very nice tutorial called the Voting DApp tutorial. It's probably the best tutorial on Kadena. And we were just like reading Marmalade and trying to figure all this out. Marmalade. And we were just trying to figure out how to like talk to Pack smart contracts from a website. So you're making these HTTP calls to the module basically, and you're trying to tell it what to do. So they pointed us to a very nice tutorial where we figured it all out, and it's like, okay, this is what's happening. You can interface to gas stations and get Kadena to pay for your testnet transactions. That's essentially what's going on. So we figured all that out yesterday, which was nice. And then now comes the hard part, because now we could push that to testnet. We could push that to GitHub right now, that code, but we kind of just at least want to be able to do some bets and transactions before we push version 0.01 to our GitHub. And so now the next step is to say, okay, we have a market. So basically, maybe UFC fight, Ryan versus Steve. Yep. Don't kill me. Don't kill me, bro. I'm not a fighter, but we might have that, and we might want to take odds on that, and transactions start coming in where, people want to bet both sides of that fight or something like that. So what we have to do now is set up what's called the limit order book for each one of those markets. So the idea now is that we need to create this limit order book. So it's a structure that sits, it's like an onion, okay? You have your market, and then you have your types of markets, which is money line, spread, total. And then in each market, there's two lists, okay? The bids and the asks, right? It's just like KuCoin when you see the layers, the bids and the asks, and then they overlap with each other. And when they overlap, you match up those transactions until there's no more overlap. That's the idea, right?
Yep.
So a limit order book, essentially how this is done in non-packed land, in centralized land, is you have these things called linked lists. What a linked list is it's a list of objects which have a referral to where the next item in the list lives.
Yep.
Okay. So that referral is something called a pointer in C++ land. So it points to where in the memory the next transaction lives. So as you're plugging transactions in, so I want to bet on Ryan at 2.0, I want to bet on Ryan at 2.01, I want to bet on Steve at 1.99. You know, all these transactions are coming in.
Yep.
It's all ordered, and then you link one transaction to the next one, to the next one, to the next one in terms of time. Okay. So you're matching things up based upon who got in first at certain levels of the price. So this linked list is fundamental to building a limit order book, because that linked list makes things very, very efficient. So how can I explain this? The principal benefit of the linked list, you can basically insert and remove items in that list on the fly without too much overhead. But in Pact, you can't do this because those linked lists are recursive. And what do we have in Pact? Turing incompleteness. So you can't have recursive data structures. So unfortunately in Pact, we're screwed because we don't have linked lists, which is fundamental to building a fast limit order book. So we have to think differently on how to invent this thing. And what we're thinking about is building, so, you know, in each market now, so let's just go to one market. So you have a baseball game, money line, and then now you have the limit order books, the bids and the ask. And these are just lists, okay? We all know what lists are in Pact module. And then in each list, each entry is a level, and a level is a price, 2.0, 1.99, 1.98, just like you see on KuCoin, right? When you're trading KDA or something like that. And then in each entry in that list is another list. And inside that list is all the orders at that price, ordered by time.
Jeez.
Every time that you put a new order in, you have to now sort that list. That's very expensive to sort a list. So we're trying to test how to do this most efficiently at Pact. So you can imagine transactions are flying in and you're always resorting lists everywhere. That's going to be very, very expensive, right? So we're trying to figure out the best way to do this. And the way we figured it out is to build lists of lists where you have each level, each price. And when the price overlaps, then you're going to tell the bids and the asks to eat each other up and fill until the list no longer overlaps. That's the technological challenge we're dealing with right now. And so it's no different than when you press market order buy on KuCoin and then you eat up some levels. It's the exact same thing, except in Pact land, you have to do things non-recursively, which is trouble because there's this sorting problem that we have to deal with. And so we have to basically just code that up, get it out. So we're going to get it out and then we're going to test it. We're going to slam it with transactions and probably do a YouTube on that. We'll slam it with transactions and then see how far we could take Pact before it dies.
And what if it doesn't, hold on. And what if it doesn't, and what if it can't?
Well, there's always ways to get around this. So Haskell is a very good language because there's ways to use, I guess, the underlying
coding language.
Yeah, I just want to think about this right. There's always a way in Haskell to make things fast, whether it's using tricks like lazy evaluation. I don't want to get into what it all means, but there's many, many tricks you can do with lists that make things very fast. And the idea is to check if Pact has implemented this sort of stuff. So do they have fast sorting? Do they have fast list iteration? So going quickly through items in a list and doing some function on each one of those items in the list. So they do have a map command, which is pretty fast. But we have to test exactly how fast this is and how far we could push it before it starts breaking down. And then if it starts breaking down, we have to go and look at the underlying code and maybe even fork Pact to figure out a way to add to it. These are the challenges that come, this is not like forking KD swap and building a swap. But 99.9% of your code is done. That's a nice business if you can pull that off because you make a lot of money and you don't do anything. But for us, we have to invent how this is going to work. And probably the reason why nobody's tried a lobby yet on Pact is because you have to think about this stuff. And I'm going to guess right now that Kadena probably can't handle it because maybe list operations like fast sort isn't quite there yet. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we might just take the keys of the list and try to sort that. That's probably the fastest way.
Doesn't Kadena use databases for stuff like that? I thought when they built their, I thought they were using a database for that C19 thing that they built out, and they were using a database to. I thought databases were faster at sorting things, and that you could use the Z3 to sort through a database and then bring that information after it's sorted back to.
Yeah.
What is the database?
The thing is you have to sort right when the transaction comes in. So it's a constant demand for sort.
Shit.
So like when you make an order on Ryan 2.1 to beat Steve up in the UFC fight, again, go easy on me, but you have to sort right away because everything has to be time ordered in the levels. Okay, so remember you have a list entry, and then inside that is a list with time ordered transactions. So if something comes into the list, then you have to resort that list, I believe, especially when things are getting matched up and you're making transactions dead in that list. So there's always this sorting problem that's going on in there because you have to like sort up where in the queue somebody is. And in C++ land, you can do that very nice, like a snap with linked lists is beautiful. But I don't think that exists in Pact. So, and to give you a caveat, we might be missing a lot of things. Like, there might be tricks in Pact that we haven't really uncovered yet. We're still learning, but we're trying to now get something out there and done as fast as we can so that we can play around and other people can play around with it. And then maybe the community has an idea.
And this is where the spotlight from Kadena Eco would give you access directly to the Kadena team that could tell you what that trick or tip would be.
Well, I wouldn't say we need the spotlight. I mean, we would always want that every single time. I think any company would want a spotlight from Kadena, no problems.
But doesn't that part of their eco thing that you actually get, like I thought I was reading on their site that said you get direct support from somebody at Kadena.
Yeah, I would say that we already kind of do. I wouldn't say direct, but look, let me give some props. So I go down to the Kadena builders, and if I write something on Kadena builders that isn't bullshit, like obviously stupid stuff, they will answer, period. If you go on the Discord, although I hate Discord and I hate Discord, I hate it. I just don't want to go on it, but that's probably where they live the most. Stack Overflow is the worst. I hate it. I would never use it because it's aggressive and toxic, and I wouldn't use that. I would say Telegram Kadena Builders Group is very good. When I've asked a question, 2 people from Kadena core team have come on and have been very nice to me and said, look, this is what it is. And they were kind of dumb questions too, like stupid ones. I didn't understand what functional purity was for again, that's pretty technical, but I didn't understand something that should be simply understood, but they were gracious enough to answer it. We got a couple of guys from Kadena on our own Telegram who just kind of probably watch things. It's kind of weird, but I enjoy it. So they come on, and then when I say something, usually I got this guy called Hash Envy. He comes on and he is very nice to me, and he says, you might want to think about this. When I write things on Twitter about Pact and my frustrations, I generally get Jose, although maybe feels a bit consternated about my comments sometimes, but he gets on and then he says, no, look, you should do things this way. So they're very interactive.
That's
you
awesome.
Just have to be smart about how you ask your questions. Like, don't waste their time with bullshit. Just ask good questions and they'll answer things, I think.
Well, sweet. Maybe they'll see parts of this. Maybe I'll chop that part into a little short and see if we can get some ideas rolling. Get the community snowballing ideas for you.
Well, I think it's just a matter of interacting with Kadena in a respectful way. So, like, these guys are smart and they know what they're doing, and they have a lot of knowledge about how Haskell works. And maybe guys like us, don't have that same level of knowledge. But if you ask questions that show that you're really trying to interact and progress with the code and understand what they're doing, they're very, very kind. And you can also reach out to Randy. Maybe he'll kill me for this, but Randy Nomic, Randy Nomic 4, who is the Kadena brand ambassador for coders. This guy is super interactive and super nice. He gave us time with the Marmalade main dev and just got us on a private chat, and I got to talk to them and ask them questions and meet them. And so, if you are polite about how you go about it, you can meet with these guys, especially Randy, who's probably the the face of Kadena now, in my opinion, and probably one of the smartest guys in Kadena. Brilliant engineer, by the way, and a businessman, MBA, I think. Although, don't quote me on that, but you go talk to him, and it's his job to basically interact with projects who are serious, and that's how you learn. You can ask questions and say, look, just don't ask dumb questions that you can figure out yourself, basically.
And would you say that that what you're trying to build will be mandatory for any big financial applications that want to do anything outside of an automatic market maker, right? If you want to set limit orders, and finance is gonna have to have limit orders. Stock market would, dark pools will. If you don't solve this problem, it's going to get solved. It has to get solved almost. For Kadena to scale and grow to be what we think Kadena can be, this problem has to be addressed.
Yeah, for some particular industries, anything where you have a market like a DEX or a financial application where you're trying to have price discovery on some sort of object, be it an equity or a asset of some sort. Perhaps futures contracts is another good thing. You have to solve this problem. And, it's just a matter of doing it in a way that doesn't use C++ or Rust.
Yep.
It's a little different. It's a different way of thinking. And I hope that we could build something people can fork and just use for themselves. So the DEXs would get a lot out of this. So all the DEXs are doing right now is using AMMs, which is basically market-based matching. So you're just taking whatever you can at the market price and eating that part of the bid or ask up, depending on which side you're on. And that's it. You're not doing anything like setting a certain price at a certain level and then waiting for the market to move to that price, and then you get hit because you're at a certain point in the time queue. So it's price time, right?
Yep.
So there's none of that right now on CADX or KDS, and they need that. So my hope is that we can get this done and they can fork it and add value to Kadena. This is what it should be. Everything open source.
Yes.
You take the code. You don't get greedy about it. You take the code. You add it to your project, and then in your project you can make more value and KDA price goes up because we need limit order. You can't have a DEX without limit orders. It's stupid. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be myself. It's stupid.
Yeah.
You have to have a limit order. You have to have a stop market order. These things are critical to traders.
Mission critical.
Mission critical. So my hope is that we can get it done in the next while, and then
you guys got
CADX and KDS can just get it.
Yeah, and you have to do time and price, right? That's what you're working with. These
price
are the two values.
Price time.
Now you have to add price, time, and king, because my king's going to give me a different level to fill bids before these other guys. So you actually have 3 working parts you need to mix in there.
Well, the king just taxes the bet. So
no, I thought I got my bet filled. I thought I got first rights to get filled based off of add the liquidity I add.
Oh, if you bet with the king? No, you're just the same as anyone else, because when you're betting, you can't be treated better than anyone else in the betting. That would go against our ethos of fairness and inclusion for all.
You didn't say that in an interview before, that when you're a market maker, you're going to get filled because you're providing liquidity. When you're building the numbers, you're going to get your orders filled first.
What we said is we have a HODL mechanic in there. So what we want to avoid, so what we're going to do is we're going to tier up the times. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 times. Now what that means is that a very small percentage of people who have lots and lots and lots of money might treat our exchange like this. They might come in, make a bunch of accounts up, throw a bunch of money into those accounts, bet it, win, take the money out, and then dump it right away on our market, and do that over and over and over. And this is what happens in our competitors, and they don't stop it. And when you look at their token price, it's literally at 0. So anyone who treats our exchange like a liquidity drain, just a working capital mechanism to extract USD, is not long-term healthy to our exchange. Mm-hmm. Now, little bettors like kings who are betting $100, $1,000, they're very healthy, because what does it harm to win 1,000 and then withdraw that 1,000? Nothing. No, that's exactly what we want. We want people to win money and extract that money and get their USD, because that's what they deserve. However, when you have somebody with like Sam Bankman-Fried, for instance, what if, maybe actually, let me redact that because that's probably poor to say the man's name. But if somebody who had a lot of money, like $1 billion, came in and then bought up a whole bunch of our token and then started draining the liquidity out of it because they want their competitor to win, well, we plan on punishing that. So if you're a market maker who matches thousands of markets and you come on and you're extracting USD for the purpose of just deflating our token price, we're going to punish that by making the fee on a transaction high for you. That is, our gas stations aren't going to support you if you don't support us. But if you're a market maker who holds the token, extract some dollars, so you extract some dollars and you're very fair. Like, you need to make money too, and you need to get it out in USD and Bitcoin, not just hold it in Kdabet. We'll treat you nicely and we'll pay all of your gas fees for you, so your transactions are like literally zero. And that's what we're planning to do inside that inside that limit order book. So it's all about transaction fees, because if you start limiting people, like, you can only extract 10% of your income a day. You're limited to $20,000 withdraw a day. Well, what if a little better wins a big parlay, gets $20,000? I want to extract my money. And then we're like, no, it's against our rules in the smart contract. We're dead.
Yep.
So the way to handle this is to build a HODL mechanic inside the limit order book, where basically, okay, if you want to slam us with thousands of transactions and spoof us, we're going to charge you a fee. And it's going to be pretty bad for you if you keep doing this. And if you keep dumping all of your tokens with the intention of destroying our token price, like it's intentional sabotage from maybe an outside source, well, we're going to extract a massive fee from you for doing that. And while our other market makers who are honest and are with us for the long term get fee-less transactions, great. Our gas stations will take care of you because you're net benefit to our players because you're providing liquidity. So that's kind of what we're aiming at. That's kind of what I meant last time, I think. So it's not a favoring of the matching. It's basically a fee, basically. So we're going to charge much more of a fee. So we were thinking about tiering the transactions and saying, look, you'll get matched last if you do this, but I think that's a little unfair. Rather, we would just like to embed the economic, and this is just recent thinking from our team, we would like to embed the economic penalty to those people who are nefarious actors in our system. And that only helps our token price as well as creates a more healthy liquidity scene.
How would you do that in a decentralized way when you don't know anybody's identity and I can create 100,000 accounts tomorrow that are new and never interacted with your exchange?
Yeah, that's a challenge, So, I mean, it doesn't hurt us if the dumping is regular. Okay, it doesn't hurt us. We can absorb that. We'll have healthy markets for that. So lots of buy and sell, and there's just a natural flow to markets. What hurts us is when it all happens at once.
Well, why are you guys taking, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but why are you guys interacting with USDT? Like, why wouldn't they just take Kdabet and take it over to a DEX? And like, why are you guys doing a swap in there as well for USDT? Or are they going to be betting with USDT?
Well, we're going to bet in Kdabet, but perhaps if you're a market maker, you need to pay employees, or you need to, you have some sort of crisis, maybe at home, you need to get some money out to pay for, a new office or something. You're going to have to give 3 liquidity pairs at a minimum to serve these markets. So Kdab to KDA, Kdab to Bitcoin, KDA to USDT or USDC, depending which one's the best. You have to give people these options because you have to keep your markets liquid. And so we have to offer these 3 markets with our liquidity pool. So a lot of money that we raise will just go to that, just making sure these markets are liquid so people can get in and out of their transactions. And just what we want to avoid, though, is that people who come on and they're just nefariously opening up wallets and what they try to do is they try to stuff quotes. So they'll do 1,000 orders they don't even mean to match up. They'll just put 1,000 orders at some random price just so that there's a lot of computational burden on the smart contract. We must punish this sort of thing because it's hard enough to code this stuff in Pact. you also have to guard against nefarious transactions. And this happens all the time in centralized exchanges as well. So guarding against quote stuffing, spoofing, also guarding against bad actors who are trying to collapse the price. It's a challenge. We have to think about this stuff. And if we weren't thinking about this stuff, your investment might just get destroyed. Yes. So we have to think about this stuff.
It's so good that you are, man. This is it makes me reassured as a potential investor that, I'm glad you guys are talking about this, and you're talking about it openly. And that's the thing that really means a lot to me anyways. So we appreciate it big time, man. And it's so cool to see.
These are the challenges we're going through now. So you can just imagine we're trying to code stuff up, and so you'll see pretty soon we'll try to push some half working stuff, and you can just see as we kind of piecemeal this problem together, and then as it kind of grows, you could even use some of it in your own projects. So.
And this is why you're gonna spend $250,000, or you said a lot of the IDO on 3 different audits. And this is what you guys are gonna have these guys testing out and trying to break, right? To make sure that people can't nefariously and smart.
So we got market makers who are pretty big already on our side. So just you talked to Joey about that a little bit. Unfortunately, we can't say the names yet until we get MOUs going. But the idea is that we bring them on and we ask them to game the system, and because these guys, they don't want to have a system where everything is gamed and they're trying to be honest and provide liquidity and to try to build a growth network with us. And then some jackass comes on from Solana or something like that. We'll say no names, and then they try to break us because they want their project to win. Well, we're going to break them if they try it. Good luck trading against us if you think you can. We'll crush you. So you think we're stupid? No. We'll use machine learning to destroy them. And so that's what we have to do. We have to set up our bots to trade and crush these people who try to crush us. And then we have to get the best in the world who are trained on Betfair to try to do this. And let's see them try to break us. And, hallelujah, if they do, then we learn from that. And we just make our automated bots just a little bit better every time.
Yep.
Until we just punish anyone who tries. That's good. That's what it has to be. Because as investors, investor in the IDO, as a king holder, as somebody who's coming in and putting up their bankroll in KDAB, what they're primarily concerned about is conserving the value of their bankroll. You don't want to see your bankroll go from 10K to 5K because some asshole decides to, pardon my language, but some hat wants to dump. I hate swearing, okay, but if they want to dump, it hurts everyone. And it's no, we have to think about this, and we have to create a very liquid market that is fair and preserves capital for people. It'll go up and down as we discussed before, but no big dumps and no connections to margin markets, 20x margin, lending platforms who just try to destroy your market and short you. We don't want any of that. We're trying to build a business, not a trading circus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, man, that's a great way to end it, Steve. We're right almost at that hour mark, man. Is there anything else that you wanted to throw in there really quick?
I guess I would like to say a big thank you to you for helping us reach out to Americans. This is a thing we're very passionate about, and it's been very good. And I just want to let you know that the Americans who you've been helping get access to our platform, even though they can't invest, they've been very, very pleasant. 100% of them, or actually, two out of 50, I think, haven't responded yet. So naughty. @K, I'm watching you. @K on Twitter. But we're just very thankful to you for that, because these people feel like they're really getting something when they're always shut out and they're treated like garbage and refuse, and they're finally getting something for their dollar's worth. And in America, that's very important, because we're very, how we are in North America. Yep. So just the amount of love, if I could just express to you how much that they're happy about getting these kings and how much of a service you're doing. I don't even think you have an idea, even though I tell you all the time. It's just they're very, very happy about it. And so we very much thank you for doing that for our fellow North Americans.
You guys are doing more for me than I'm doing for you, buddy. I could never learn what I've learned about PAC and about Kadena and the investments I've been able to make and better decisions on when to DCA, because I actually understand what's going on with their blockchain. And you've done that for the entire Kadena community that we weren't getting from them or any outside sources. So, and like I've said this 100 times, it'll be a year at least, maybe a year and a half before we see a team with your talent and your resources and what you're building. So the community loves you, man. We appreciate you, and it's an honor to have you on the show every week. So I appreciate you, Steve, and can't wait to see you next week, buddy.
Cheers. Next week, hopefully code time. So we can do a Zoom. We can do a nice, like, I don't know how you do it, but we can get a Zoom going and actually go through some of the code we talked about today.
Yes, sir, man. It'd be sick, man. I can't wait to see it, buddy. Appreciate you, Steve.
Cool,
Thanks,
man.
buddy. Yep.
Thanks.
Later, buddy.